Shalom friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm David Tablante, founder of Sovereign Sentinels. I help people from the First World West get their foreign domicile here in the Philippines. That is a part of the four domicile strategy. And today we're going to talk about what's happening in the West, all of the relevant news is happening in the West, and why you should be preparing to leave the West, the First World West, before the last convergence ends. Now, if you guys don't know what the last convergence means, I still have my intro video. It's not even 5 minutes long. You can watch that about the last convergence. Okay, that is related with the elites agenda of Agenda 2030 or the Tikun Ulam. Okay, so first news for today. Breaking, the Trump administration has officially halted all immigration and naturalization from 19 third world countries. This is a post from Benny Johnson. Okay, shout out to him. Now, I've checked, I've done a quick skim on this moratorium on immigration, and it didn't really halt immigration from, the big countries like China and India, and I don't even think immigration from China is that of a bad thing per se, not that they care. I mean, China is becoming more and more developed as we speak. But, the problematic countries like India and Pakistan, they didn't really, I don't think that they ever said something about India. Okay, so this is why when you see news like this, and let's scroll from the comments. Well, okay, so there's a lot of mixed comments about this, but basically what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't really matter what you see about the moratorium, about this halted all immigration and naturalization from 19 third world countries, as if these 19 third world countries are the sources of most illegal and problematic migration to the First World West, specifically the United States for this matter. So let's not drown ourselves in copium just because we see this. Okay, this doesn't mean that you no longer need to leave the West. Okay, so next post is from Wall Street Mav. I think he used to be Wall Street Silver. I think he changed it. This is pointless unless China, India, Central America, and South America are included. Okay, Afghanistan, Chad, Republic of Congo. Okay, so India and Pakistan weren't even there, okay? So this was what I was trying to say. Numerous countries need added, just close the door. Once again, you guys put too much faith and power over the government, okay? Which is controlled by proxy of the elites. So you think that your votes matter, you think that politics, engaging in politics matter. They do not matter, because at the end of the day, the elites, the oligarchy, the ruling classes will do as they please. And they don't need to listen to any of us except if there's an election. Okay, and then after the election, once again, the people are going to be betrayed. It's going to be a cycle, okay? Once election is coming up, that's where they pretend to hear your voices. Then they echo the talking points that you want to hear. Then once they get the votes and then they get elected, they're not going to deliver as promised. Then you're going to be disappointed, right? Then the cycle repeats again. This is why you people shouldn't fall for the theater that is the First World West, okay? None of this moratorium, none of this policy memorandum shit matters, okay? You need to make your you need to make your money online, okay? You need to get your online income skill. You need to learn a second language, because moving, the best countries to live in, which is the first domicile, I've already talked about this in my previous videos. The best countries to move in don't really have English as their only language. Now, I know that the Philippines has English as a second language, but honestly, most people in the Philippines, beyond basic English, they don't really speak it that well, because we already have our own language, okay? We already have our native language. It's not as if we're like Mexico where we barely speak, if not forgot to speak our native language because it has largely been replaced by the language of the colonizers. No, we don't speak English as good as you might think, okay? Okay, so this post is by Brennan, okay, CPA. You work an entire year, 24% federal tax, 5% state tax, 29% total tax. And you're also forgetting the taxes that you pay. The taxes that you pay when you buy stuff, okay, in a grocery. So you're paying even more taxes on top of the income tax that you're paying to both federal and the state level. Okay. Okay, so the next, it's a meme. Kids are so dumb, they believe that some guy with a beard will give them stuff for free. And then we see Karl Marx. You know, most people don't actually, most people actually believe in Marxism. It's just varying degrees of Marxism. You know, even the right-wing people believe in free stuff. They believe in, you might think that they don't believe in welfare, but actually they do. It just depends on whose interests are they aligning with, okay? And people on the right want more big government. They want more government intervention. They want more funding for, ICE to deport all the immigrants. When you don't need to deport the immigrants to begin with if you don't let them in, right? And so the left and the right is basically just two sides, or two wings rather, of the same bird, okay? And this is why you need to leave the collapsing West. That is another sign that the West is collapsing, when the left and the right are becoming so radicalized, are becoming so extremist that they eventually meet, that they eventually converge, right? It's like the horseshoe theory. Okay, so this is from Right Angle News Network. Crime has gotten so bad in Gavin Newsom's California that thieves in Los Angeles are now breaking into wealthy neighborhoods and stripping entire luxury cars. So yes, this is another sign that times are increasingly getting worse and worse day by day for people in the West, especially for Americans. Okay, and this is more the reason on why you need to prepare for the online income skill. Okay. And I'm going to make more content on how we can get a foreign domicile in the Philippines, what are the requirements, what are the best condos to buy, how to date here, how to hyper-polygenize, as we say. And I'm going to teach more about Sovereign Sentinels, about the doctrine that we practice, our praxeology, our philosophy. Okay. It's just that now I'm focusing more on the news because you guys still don't have enough urgency. You still don't. You still are kind of brainwashed by patriotism, asceticism. I've already talked about that in my previous video. And so, in order for you to see the truth, okay, in order for us to remove the false truth, or in Hebrew, the sheker emet, okay, the sheker emet. On your forehead, we need to remove the falsehood, okay? All of the societal brainwashing that we've got from the malevolent faction of the oligarchy, from the system, from the education system, from big pharma, all of the brainwashing that have taught us, from religion, from our parents, from society, from our families, okay? Okay, so this was the viral post that talks about Enoch Burke with effective life sentence, okay? I think this was the teacher that misgendered his student, right? And he did it for a second time, which is why he's getting life sentence. Okay, I'm not too familiar with this case, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened, okay, because I don't have enough time to dig every nook and cranny of this case, right? But that's wild, okay? This is basically 1984. 1984 is no longer just a work of fiction. It's already happening IRL. And if you don't want your kids to be raised in an environment wherein people can literally get jailed, okay, just for acknowledging the truth, okay, if you don't want your kids, or your eventual kids, if you don't have kids now, but eventually you're going to have kids, right? Eventually you're going to want to start a family. And you don't want them to receive the indoctrination and the brainwashing, the wokeification, the LGTV bullshit. We all know it's fucking bullshit. Then you have to leave the West, okay? Okay, base Hungary, breaking Greek MEP. Europe has become unrecognizable, filled with Mohammeds who hate us in the name of Allah. Leftists want to Islamize Europe. We need to stop the subsidies now and deport them all. Now, yet again, there's yet another theater. We all know that the EU and the governments of the EU and the UK have already been compromised by the factions of the elite, including the malevolent factions, including the globalists, including the elites who support Tikkun Olam, okay? And the people some of the people are already in the process of waking up, but I don't think that there's still a fighting chance of overturning this. I think it's already too late, okay? And most men nowadays, especially in the first world West, their testosterone levels are already tanking, so I don't think they have enough grit, okay? You might think that because you're on social media and you're seeing all these far-right, fascist, Hitler edits, okay, that you think that, Generation Z is becoming far-right and beast again. But no, that's only on the internet, okay? In reality, they don't really have what it takes to fight against the tyranny of the malevolent faction of the elites, of the Kabbalists, of the Tikkun Olam people, okay? Because if they already did, then these problems that we're seeing here in 2025, in the year end of 2025 and beyond, you wouldn't even see them to begin with. Because at the first sign of malevolence, then the people would have already risen up. But no, they waited. The people waited. The masses of the First World West waited too long, okay? Waited too long before they even did anything, and they haven't even done anything. So what's the point of what's the point of staying? What's the point of fighting? Okay? The moment that you stand up and fight, these people who continuously say, "Oh, we need to stand up and fight. We need to protest this. We need to fight against the tyranny." Okay? Once you stand up, they're going to leave you in the dark. Okay? They're going to leave you for dead. They're not going to help you. Okay? You need to look out for yourself first. For yourself, okay? Because these people who say that they're going to rise up with you, okay? The people who are trying to manipulate your emotions, okay, to go against them, they're also going to be the first people to abandon you, okay? They're not going to help you. "11 police officers in Britain broke into the home of a woman and arrested..." Damn! Okay. Damn, this is wild. So once again, if you guys are watching this from the United Kingdom, I hope that you're watching in incognito, okay? I don't want you to have history of watching this channel, but I don't really care. But I don't really care how you watch me, but like, I wish that you're taking all of my teachings to heart, okay? Because this is the only way, not even to save yourself, okay? This is the only way to save your future progeny, okay? Your descendants are going to thank you for making the jump to leave and abandon the West, okay? That is becoming the Egypt, okay? The IRL Egypt of the Old Testament, okay? Okay, so I'm seeing this recent focus by the Kabbalim towards the Somalians, okay? So now they've tried the Jewish question, and now they're, I think they've asked the Jewish question, the JQ, too many times. So now they're doing the Somalian question. Okay, you keep seeing this on the internet. the Jewish question, the Christian question, the racial question, now it's the Somalian question. They always give questions, but they never provide the answers, okay, the solutions. So maybe the solutions are too radical, too extremist, too impractical. Really, the only solution is only leaving, okay? How about the leaving question? How about the Exodus question? Like Jewish question, Somalian question, Christian question, racial question, okay? These questions do not help us with our life, okay? These are not productive questions. These questions do not lead to the answers that we need so that we can benefit our lives, okay? These don't help us at all. So what the fuck is up with this Somalians, okay? And then now they're hyper focusing on the Somalis. Who fucking cares, okay? Are they really this dumb? Okay, so now they're doing the dunking on the women again. Liberal white women complain it's too dangerous. Look, you guys might think that you're able to turn this around, and unfortunately, I have bad news for you. I don't think that you're able to turn this around because this feminism bullshit has already been planned out for generations, if not hundreds of years ago. Okay? You cannot counter the hundreds of millions, if not billions, of funds by the Rockefellers and the fucking Rothschilds, and insert oligarchic surname here. Okay? They funded billions of dollars on all this feminism and all this LGTB, woke, environmentalist bullshit, okay, to indoctrinate the masses generation by generation. And you think that you're going to be able to counter them with just a simple TikTok post or a simple YouTube rant or a simple X thread, okay? When they've been doing this for generations, if not hundreds of years, okay? So no, you're not going to counter the culture, okay, to counter the elites just because you posted a meme. That's not going to happen, okay? Okay, so now there's a revelation for the JFK files. Okay, so this is yet another post. Okay, I know that this Adam dude may think that he's doing the right thing. Maybe he's not actually controlling opposition. Maybe he is indeed grassroots. But then again, who cares about this 1963 Secret Service memo and about Kennedy and about, the Jews, now it goes viral yet again. Oh, it's the JQ again. It's the JQ. It's the Yehudim. They've been controlling our world, okay? They're all behind the curtains, okay? They're the real perpetrators of all of this Tikkun Olam global agenda. Who cares? Okay? You're not gonna do anything. You guys are not gonna be able to do jack shit, okay? You guys are not gonna be able to counter them or even overthrow them from their power because they've already been there for hundreds of years, okay? You guys gotta read my thread about how the Sephardim and the Ashkenazim, okay? The Sephardim and Ashkenazim elites, okay? The Ashkenazim elites being the Rothschilds, okay? The Rothschild family, which they actually funded the Western imperialism, okay? So Western imperialism, the entire point of Western imperialism was to enrich the elite tiny hats, okay? That was the entire point. It wasn't because, the white race was superior. That's why we were able to take over the whole world, okay? That's what the far right white supremacists were saying. But what they don't realize is that all this British imperialism, all this American imperialism, who did it really benefit? Okay, the multinational conglomerates, okay, the multinational corporations, and who fucking owns them yet again? Okay, who owns the shares of the private commercial banks that also own the voting rights and the shares of the Federal Reserve and of the Bank of England? It's also the fucking Sephardim elites, the Ashkenazim elites, the Rothschilds. They've already been in control for hundreds of years, okay? So if they've already been in control of the West for hundreds of years, what makes you think that you can fight them, okay? What makes you think that you can go against them, Okay, they already have a stranglehold over the financial system because they are the ones that created the banking system to begin with. Okay, so what makes you think that you can go counter them? Okay, so the only solution is to leave the collapsing West, because the golem, okay, the Western golem, the first world West, Edom, no longer serves the Jews. Okay, it no longer serves the elites. The elites. Let me be clear on that. The elites, the top 0.1% of the Jews. Okay, I don't mean all Jews. Okay, we do not want to promote anti-Semitic tropes. Okay, so shout out to Rachel Wilson. Okay, everyone wants the Somalis to go home. Okay, yet another. Okay, so calling us racist, Indians, Pakistanis. Yeah. It's another anti-third world, anti-migration. And then she's saying about, oh, they need to go back. Remigration will never happen, you guys. You just go ask your chatbot, your favorite chatbot like ChatGPT. I think you're going to have to take over all of the shipping containers, and even if you were able to take hold of all commercial, of all private sector and government vessels, of government ships and private ships, it will still take you years, okay, years to remigrate all of these illegals out of your country. And even if you did, you'd still have tons of legalized and naturalized non-whites living in your nation. So let's just say that you guys go full racist, then it's going to take generations upon generations before you're even able to kick them all out, okay? And to establish your all-white paradise, the far-right white supremacist paradise, okay? It's going to take you fucking generations, which obviously will not happen because the businesses who own these shipping vessels won't even allow that to begin with. They wouldn't even give it to you for the purposes of remigration. So forget about remigration. It's never ever going to happen, okay? This remigration bullshit is not going to happen, okay? It's a pipe dream. Okay, so this is, okay, and the Fed, it's a proponent of online income. Because if you earn in first world currency rather, even if it's not US dollars per se, but if you're earning in first world currency and yet you're spending it in third world pricing, then you're able to mitigate this, okay? And by the way, salary, this is because most people depend on a salary, which is, the last thing you want to do. Of course, right now you may be working a job, your salary is fixed, but you have to find a way to get a stream of income that is not fixed, okay? And there's tons of material online to help you with that. So, because I cannot teach you everything, okay? Okay. Okay, so Starmer out. Look at all they have done to us in order to protect their multicultural vision. Okay. So yeah, this is yet another anti-government post. Once again, I think these dudes are just posting for the memes, or there's really no point in asking or discussing about whether this account or the accounts that are promoting this are actually anti the UK government, or they're just control opposition or whatnot. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that complaining about what's happening in the West, okay, is not going to make the Kabalim or the Adonim, the ruling class, is not going to make them stop what they're doing right now, okay? So the only solution is leaving, okay? No voting, no fighting, only leaving. Okay, so Spartan Psyche, okay? A motivational post for today, for now. The real turning point is when you stop dramatizing your struggle and start treating it like a simple equation. Okay? So this is what you guys have to do. Now you guys struggle with discipline. You guys struggle with taking action because, yeah, for whatever reason, it's like you're waiting for the right time. You're waiting for the perfect time. And unfortunately, there is no perfect time. Okay? There's no such thing as perfect. I think there's a quote, I might be butchering it, but like, perfect is the enemy of good. Okay? Perfect is the enemy of good. You don't have to be making 100K before you move in here to the Philippines. You don't have to be making 10K, 20K, although that is recommended, but like, you don't need to wait until you're consistently making 10K before you move out of the West and you go into third world Latin America or Southeast Asia. Okay? I think 5 to 6K is enough, but like 7 to 8K per month after taxes is recommended. Okay. Just in, Nick Fuentes calls on President Trump to end all immigration and naturalization for India. Now, of course, this post went viral, but we're not really sure if the Trump administration will end all immigration and naturalization for India, because honestly, even if they do, Indians will still find a way to get into America illegally. And even if they magically were able to stop all legal and illegal migration of Indians into the United States, well, there's already too many South Asians, already too many third worlders that got into the country, okay, and have already naturalized as U.S. citizens. They're already U.S. citizens. They already carry your passport. Okay, so what are you going to do about that then? Okay? And if the government actually does something about it, then it's going to be chaotic. That's just going to accelerate the collapse of the West, which is already collapsing. And it's continuing to decline and collapse. Okay, so this is an account that I follow, which I like. I always engage with his posts. Never Doom Pro. And it's important to never doom, even though we see, that there's bad news happening. It doesn't mean that it's all over. Oh my God, the Agenda 2030 is coming for all of us. The global reset agenda is going for all countries in the United Nations. Okay, that's not the case. Okay, just like what we saw in what happened with Cerveza. Okay, the lockdowns were not simultaneous. The vaccinations were not simultaneous. Not all governments were able to meet their quotas of vaccinations. And especially in the third world, in the third world, I betcha that the elites of the third world have their vaccination certificates or vaccination passports or proof of vaccination. But since it's the third world, what's amazing about the third world is that you can do an under-the-table deal, okay? You're able to do that, and you're able to get proof of vaccination even though you didn't really take the jab, if you know what I mean. So, not everything about the third world is bad. You guys think the third world is bad because I guess you're too racist, okay? You're too far right, okay? Far left, far right, moderate left, moderate right are both wings of the same bird, okay? Both wings of the same bird, golem of the elites. Golem of the Adonim, okay? Left wing, right wing doesn't fucking matter, okay? You gotta think for yourself. You gotta think for what's best for you, and for your brotherhood, and for your family, okay? And for your future progeny, okay? For your future self, okay? That's what you should look out for. Not this left wing, right wing bullshit, okay? They're trying to divide and conquer us with, that they're trying to distract us with. Okay? It's not going to help us. This is why we should never doom. Why the fuck should we doom if we already know the solution? If we already have the answers, okay? The basic answers. We may not have all the answers, but at least I'm giving you the answer. If you're seeing that the twilight of the West is now upon us, then the simple solution is to just leave. But what if you can't? Well, you actually can, okay? That's why I gave you 4 years, okay? Because we're still 4 years away from 2030. Yes, it's going to continue to get worse, but it's still 4 years, okay? 4 years is enough for you to prepare, to get an online income skill, to earn at least $4,000 to $5,000 per month, so you can leave the West and so that you can buy real estate here, so that you can secure your foreign domicile, so that you can date the women here, okay? So that you don't have to be stuck in whatever mess you're in, okay? That's why you should never doom, okay? Okay, so yeah, so I was right about Enoch Burke. He was a teacher that was jailed for refusing to use trans pronouns. So the teacher refused to use the pronouns, right? So it's called misgendering, right? Misgendering the pronouns. So fucking gay. Okay, so this is yet another anti-Somali post. So anti-Somali hate is trending right now. So naturally, the meme pages, the theme pages in the troll farm operations. I don't think this account is organic, by the way. But if it is, I think they're just capitalizing the views, because if this account is monetized, then I'm sure that he earned quite a bit with 17.4 million views. Okay, so the anti-Somali hate is trending right now, but nobody is focusing on what they can do. Okay, about the solution. Okay, everybody's focusing on the scapegoats. It's the Yehudim. Oh, it's the Chinese. It's the CCP. It's the Pajeets. It's the blacks. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, scapegoating doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't benefit you, okay? Another banger post by Never Doom Pro. Potential is a fantasy until it is realized through action. Never doom, okay? Never doom. Okay, so another post by Candace Owens. Wars are in part just massive real estate deals with forced genocidal evictions. That's why the elites love them so much. Okay, so yeah, that is true, which is why you need to become a sovereign sentinel. Okay, you need to become a sovereign sentinel with an online income skill. Okay, so you're not trapped in whatever mess you're in. Okay, so that when bad times come and you need to leave the place you're in, well, you're already making online income anyway, so you can just leave, okay? That's the entire point. And the elites have always been done this, okay? There's nothing new under the sun. Okay, so yet another anti-Somali post. I think we've already discussed about this. We've already discussed enough about this. Okay, so never doom. Peace is earned, never found. Okay, peace is not going to come to you, okay, automatically. Okay, you need to earn it. You need to earn it by, once again, going to the gym. You know, self-improvement or collective improvement, right? Collective improvement. Okay, going out, having an abundant social life, having a social circle, having high-value men as your friends, you know, as part of your brotherhood, okay? By being able to, or by being capable rather, by being a capable man, by being a man capable of violence, okay? By being a man capable of waging war, okay? By being a man capable of fighting, can you earn peace, okay? Okay, so it's another post about, you know, there's like this running meme about the Rothschilds overthrowing certain governments because their central banks or their commercial banks are still not beholden to the elite tiny hats, so to speak. Bombshell, the global elite wants war until total extinction. I think I've already discussed about this with the Candace Owens post, but then again, this is where the Sovereign Sentinels comes into play, okay? I've got to make another video specifically focusing on that, okay? Because for this video, I've only wanted to focus on the news, okay? Because you guys still don't have you guys still don't have the enough urgency, okay? Because I see you guys liking and following and sharing my posts, but like you guys are not doing anything. You guys are not telling me. You guys are not asking me the right questions. Okay, and that tells me that you still don't have enough urgency. Okay, 4 years is not well. It's enough time. Okay, that's enough for you to escape. But like, it doesn't mean that there's 4 years left. It means that you still have time to fuck around and dilly-dally and beat around the bush, okay? You cannot waste any more time because 4 years is just an insignificant time period in the grand scheme of things, okay? It's not that long of a time duration. So you guys cannot fuck around. You guys cannot continue wasting your time in these fucking video games and watching porn, okay? And making memes, okay, about the Rothschilds are doing this because they're overthrowing all of the countries where their central banks are not beholden to their Bank of England, City of London. Nobody fucking cares, okay? Nobody fucking cares. So you need to take care of yourself first. Then you can talk about the Rothschilds. Then we can talk about the Rockefellers after you've dealt with your online income skill and your foreign domicile in your dating life. Okay. Once you take care of yourself and your physique, you know what? It's like what MLD says: money, muscles, game, frame. Then we can talk about the higher level stuff. Okay. Okay, once again, never doom until death, all defeat is psychological. Facts. Okay, so all wars are bankers' wars. This ties back to what Candace Owens said. Okay, so last one. Breaking exclusive. Jones Fuentes 2028. Okay, so we're not even 3 years. So this is like 2020, so 3 years from now? Or no, excuse me. 2 years from now, since we're only 1 month away from 2026. So, or I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 years from now. I don't know the exact. I'm not that familiar with the election cycle in America, okay? So Nick says he would run for vice president on Alex Jones's ticket. Okay, so now I know you guys are seeing this post. You guys are hyped with, Alex Jones, with Nick Fuentes, okay, running for office. And unfortunately, you guys, as we all know, in politics, what happens is they promise us something, and then they say what we want to hear, and then we're gonna give them their vote, and then once they get into office, it's like what President Putin said. The men in black suits come into the office and then they tell them what they can and cannot do. It's just going to be the exact same thing. It doesn't matter if Alex Jones is the president. It doesn't matter if Nick Fuentes becomes vice, then eventually the next president after being vice president. It doesn't fucking matter, okay? Because this government that we see, the visible government, is different from the deep state, from the shadow government, from the real bureaucracy, okay, the ruling class that cannot be overthrown, okay? They're not even elected. They're just there because they've been there since time immemorial, okay? So this doesn't matter, but then again, a lot of people are being hyped up because they're too low IQ to get it, okay? So we all have the same 24 hours, and we also have the same 4 years left before the last convergence ends. We all have the same 4 years remaining before 2030 okay, before the infamous Agenda 2030 comes for us all, okay? So don't fucking waste it, all right? Okay, so Templar Pillar. Memes about, becoming the Knights Templar and the Crusades. Study finds 100% of men would immediately leave their desk job if asked to embark upon a crusade. Okay, so I've already discussed this multiple times. I don't think that there's going to be a crusade because the elites themselves will not allow that. And even if they do, let's just say, yeah, they allowed the Muslim migration, but just before, when it gets worse, suddenly they now join the side of the people who are anti-Muslim invasion, and then they support a crusade 2.0, okay, a 21st century crusade. Well, then who fucking cares? Because there's going to be a lot of chaos, there's going to be a lot of killing, okay? And you do not want to be a part of that, okay? You do not want to die for a war that was manufactured, that was engineered by the Kabalim, by the Adonim to begin with, okay? So this shit is fucking stupid, okay? Don't ever fall for this, oh, we're going to do a crusade, we're going to drive out the Muslim invaders like last time, like what our ancestors did. But they didn't have Monsanto. They didn't have testosterone decreasing chemicals mixed with the water in the food, okay? They didn't have those problems. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have widespread pornography at the tip at your fingertips, okay? Within the access of your fingertips. They didn't have that back in the day. That's why men back then were more masculine than the men of today. That's why they were able to do the crusades, okay? Okay, so again, breaking, President Trump just announced tens of millions of children will be receiving up to $1,000, each funded by donation from billionaire Michael Dell and seed money from the Trump admin. Once again, government overreach. Once again, free money. And I don't care if it says, oh, it's from the private sector anyway. Even then, it's still encouraging more welfare state. I thought President Trump was a Republican. I thought he was right-wing. So why is there welfare? Okay? See, Trump paused green cards and citizenship process from 19 countries. Guess what? I'm not seeing the whole of Latin America, of South America being banned from immigration. I'm not seeing India. I'm not seeing Pakistan. Okay, I'm not seeing the whole of Africa and some problematic places in the Middle East. Okay. See what I mean? What does this do to the migration problems that the United States and the First World West is going through right now? Nothing. So don't get all your so don't put all of your hope and dreams towards a person who does not even know you personally. Okay? We all know that politics is a scam. Breaking, only 12% of Gen Z graduates secure a job after graduation compared to 40% of earlier generations. Cooked. Okay, now, if you're going to see this type of posts, only 12% of Gen Z graduates secure a job after graduation, it's because you're trying to find a job that you're trying to punch above your weight class, right? You shouldn't really go for the degrees or for the jobs when you know that it's not going to be that beneficial. Now, obviously, if you really want a job, you can go for blue collar. However, that in and of itself is not an online income skill. Now, there is an exception if you're really talented about the trades, if you're really talented about being a doctor, being a lawyer, which unfortunately you can't do an online, you cannot do an online income skill right away, right? Then yeah, you can do it, but then again, you need to secure a foreign domicile, because at least if you have a permanent residence abroad, you can still use that technically as a valid reason, okay, or as a valid mechanism for you to leave the West when shit really gets tough, okay? Or even if let's say you're in the United States of America, I don't think the elites are going to like focus on that, because it's still the #1 country on earth. So it's not going to be like the United Kingdom or European Union, where they're not able to go against the Tikkun Olam agenda, as we say, right? So even then, if you're going to stay in the United States because you're not able to earn the money that you want if you were to go online income, then at least you should procure your multiple residencies, your other passports, okay? Or at least you need to prepare yourself so that you can get what you want in the future, right? So you can buy a residence, for instance, for example, you can buy a residence here in the Philippines without necessarily moving here yet, okay? And then you may set up your bank accounts and your corporations in Paraguay, so that in the future, when you want to start your expat life, okay, you want to stop working as an engineer, you want to stop working as a lawyer, and you've already invested your money, so now you have passive income of at least $4,000, $5,000 per month in passive income, because you've made tons of money, but you saved it, you invested it, now you want out, okay? You've been working for 10, 15, 20 years, okay. But while you're doing that, you should have already bought your houses, okay? You should have already bought the requirements, okay? The real estate, so that you can get the passport in some country in the Caribbean, perhaps, you know? Okay, so most people underestimate how much power there is in doing one difficult thing before the world can interfere. Because starting your day with a win reshapes your internal chemistry. It reminds your brain that you're the one setting the tone, not your moods. Okay, so this is very important, right? I always do the most difficult thing when I wake up. So it might be either reading or researching, or like writing notes and then going to the gym. Okay, I always do that first. Okay, you need to get the hard things out of the way first. Okay, so that once you establish that W, then your mind is going to like, oh, I'm actually not a loser. I'm actually a winner. Okay, you can actually do the hard things in life. Okay, and that responds positively. Your body responds positively to that. Okay, and you start reducing, or you start having less and less unproductive, depressing thoughts. Okay, I recommend that you read As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Okay, it's a really good book about mindset. Feds have officially started arresting and deporting Somali immigrants. Once again, this doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. The collapse of the West is still going on. It's still ongoing, and there are no signs of stopping the decline of the West. How to beat everyone? Have a greater sense of urgency, which is why, okay, this ties back to the you have 4 years left, Sentinel, until the last convergence ends. Right wing is just a picture of a normal family. This is how far we have fallen. To every spiritual problem, there's a right wing solution. I don't know why they're making this about politics, okay? Is this like a characteristic of the people in the West, specifically Americans? I don't know why everything is about politics nowadays. Everything's so fucking politicized. Okay, Magna Carta, except by the lawful judgment of his peers. Once again, laws on paper are just on paper. Okay, if the elites deem it so, it will be so. If the elites deem it so, then mote it be, right? These laws are invented by the government, by the system, because it's for the benefit of the elites, never for the benefit of us. So how do we benefit? We become the elites. We become the top 1%. If we cannot become the ruling class, at least we do our best to become like them or as close as possible. So if not our children, our children, if not our children, our grandchildren, or if not at least one or two of our great-grandchildren can become a part of the ruling class. Okay? That's what I always preach. Okay, so yet another viral issue about how they give cheaper insurance to non-binary folks, whatever that means. Okay, so this is going to continue to happen. Why? Because the West is, as I always say, ground zero for the Tikkun Olam agenda. Okay, I hate to explain that stuff over and over. Okay? University of Minnesota professor wearing a Palestinian keffiyeh. I hope you seek to dismantle the United States. That's what I'm saying, okay? Once again, this is a Golemian dialectic. Golemian, okay, not Hegelian. Hegelian never said, Hegel never said anything about the Hegelian dialectic, okay? That was, this misconception was popularized by notable figures like Karl Marx, but it's not the Hegelian dialectic, okay? That's why I coined a new term for it, called the Golemian dialectic. Golemian. Okay, so you got so the government let these people in that are anti-American, okay, or at least they indoctrinate them in American schools with anti-American propaganda and indoctrination and brainwashing, okay? And then they're going to use them as the scapegoats. And then eventually they're going to manufacture a civil war or civil infighting, societal chaos. Okay? This shit is nothing new, okay? Okay, so 2026 will be the best year of your life if you put in the work, if you commit to the praxeology of Sovereign Sentinels, okay? Which is 2026 to 2030, before the last convergence ends, you need to focus on your online income skill, you need to focus on learning a second language, you need to focus on getting a foreign domicile, and leaving the West and getting your permanent residency outside of the First World West. Okay, so digital ID yet again. Well, I think that digital ID is going global, by the way, but the First World West is going to be the first. It's going to be the ground zero for the digital ID, CBDC, 15-minute city, tyrannical panopticon, 1984 dictatorship, okay? Okay, so more billions of dollars for Zelensky. More billions of dollars. This is what your government is doing with your taxpayer money, okay? This is what they're doing with the taxpayer funds, funneling more billions and more billions for Zelensky, for Ukraine. Okay, so there's another doomer post, right? It is a nation of exhausted ones, okay? So we're seeing the radicalization of the left and of the right, okay? The death of the middle class, okay? And once socioeconomic mobility is removed or mostly eliminated, and the previous middle class have now become poor, right? They've lost all of their assets. Now they own nothing, okay? It's not as if they own nothing and now they're happy. No. Now they own nothing and now they're pissed, okay? They're going to be fucking pissed. And then when they own nothing, guess what? Who are they going to turn to? Right? If they can no longer trust the government, they're going to turn against the rich people. And the rich people are going to what? And the rich people are going to be alarmed, right? Because the lefties want to take the assets, the money of the right-wing folks. So what are they going to do? They're going to lobby for the government to go after everyone else, the masses who don't own anything anymore. And what happens? Yet another civil war, or yet another societal infighting. Okay? And once that happens, you're still telling me that you can still turn this around, right? You might think that things are still manageable now because in your place in the first world West, it still hasn't gone that worse, okay? You're thinking that, oh, it's still not that bad, okay? Or whatever excuse you have, right? I'm telling you, someday it is going to be worse than you thought. Well, it always does that, right? It always becomes worse and worse, okay? Because once again, I've explained it to you many times, the golem of the West, Edom, no longer serves the purpose of the Adonim, okay, of the Kabbalim. They no longer see that the golem should be kept alive, which is why they're beginning its self-destruction. Okay, that's why they're initiating and accelerating the collapse. It's just like a renovation. Okay, because tikkun olam, it's like repairing the world. It's like fixing a house, like renovating a house. Well, you cannot renovate to make it new if you don't destroy the old house first. You need to destroy the old one to build the new one, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so this is going to be my last thread, and I saved it because, we need to save the best for last, right? Why am I not getting the life I want? I see all these men on social media get the nice house. Oh, wait. I need to do the nerd voice for this one.
Why am I not getting the life I want? I see all this men on social media get the nice house, the pretty girls, the money, the traveling. Why can't I get that life? Well, they can.
Answer, because you lack self-esteem.
Okay, how do I build my self-esteem?
Here's how, okay? And so I show the book of The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden. Okay, really goated book. Okay, so I was reading some Nathaniel Branden, and the concepts were too long and the book was a hard read, so I simplified the framework, okay? There wasn't really an acronym like this, but I made it, I transformed it, or I tweaked it into the karate framework, okay? Consciousness, acceptance, responsibility, assertion, teleology, and integrity. Okay, so you need to be conscious, number one, consciousness. You need to be conscious of your life. You cannot be an autopilot. You cannot operate on values, morals, and ethics in which the powers that be have installed on our foreheads, on our like a golem, right? You guys are familiar with the golem story, right, from Jewish mythology. It's like they're imprinting the false version of the truth on our foreheads, right? Be mindful of the societal brainwashing that's going on. Acceptance. This isn't just accepting yourself. This is also accepting that the world we live in is the only world that matters, so you make the most of it. Okay? We all know hard times are coming, Agenda 2030. So there's no point in complaining or denying reality. Number 3, responsibility. Stop blaming the system, the Jews, the cabal, the elites, and insert scapegoat here. What matters is that you take responsibility for whatever mess you're in. By shifting blame onto others, you thereby shift power to them over you, okay? So don't blame, stop doing this blame game of the elites, the Rothschild, the Rockefeller, okay? Assertion, number 4. You need to assert what you want out of life. You can't be passive and just hope that your lucky day will come. No, it won't. You have to make your own lucky day, is what I'm trying to say. Make your dream board, paste the images of the stuff you want in your life. Money, cars, women, all of it. No need to ask for permission. Then live your life every day till you get all the things you have on your dream board. Once that's done, then just make a new one and set even higher goals. You need to assert what you want before the universe gives it to you, as long as you put in the work. Teleology. you need to have a purpose, an end in mind, besides the money, power, assets, properties, and women. This will give you your self-actualization. Usually this comes from solving your life's biggest traumas. It can be helping divorced men regain their life back and become successful in life in their next romantic relationship. If you're divorced yourself, right? And you went through that process, but now you've done your comeback, right? And you've saved yourself from becoming depressed, right? So now you can use that trauma that you've overcome, and now you can help men who are going through and have already gone through the same problem that you've went through, right? Coaching men in how to cure their depression and addiction problems. Any deep trauma that you've personally dealt with can become your purpose. And finally, number 6, integrity. Once you've committed to your cause, don't hold back, don't harbor second thoughts. You've already made your decision. You already know that whatever you put on your dream board is exactly what you want. So don't betray others who need you, especially yourself. Once again, the karate framework. Consciousness, acceptance, responsibility, assertion, teleology, integrity. Fall from our productive content, never do. Okay, and here's my website, sovereignsentinels.com. And it's just Gumroad for now. Okay, you can click here. You can put your email address here. You can go subscribe to my newsletter, and you can also support this channel with $5, $15, and $45 a month. And that's it for today. Once again, I'm David Tablante, founder of Sovereign Sentinels. There's no voting, there's no fighting, there's only leaving. Thanks, guys.